So, did you know that you could totally be the person responsible for all of your misfortunes in your life? Is this something that you've thought about before? Have you considered this? Or are you somebody like me who just happens to play victim to every situation and thing in your life and things just happen to you? Regardless who you are, there's a possibility that you could be manifesting all of the negative, misfortune, unfortunate things that are happening in your life. And this is something that I have learned over the past couple of years, that we are basically the people to blame for, or not to blame. We are the people who create all of what our life is like and what our experience is like for the most part. Obviously, we can't say there's an end all be all to anything. Nothing is black and white like that. But for the most part, a lot of us are manifesting the things in our lives that we don't want. And I'm going to tell you guys how that is and how to maybe flip it and recreate something different. So, most people have their own story of their life, about their present, about their past, about their future, about their family, about their career. Most people have their own story about themselves or about their environment. And, they talk a lot. It's become popular and trendy to talk a lot about manifestation and how we can manifest whatever it is that we want in our lives. And that is true. But the opposite is also true. We also can create all of the things that we don't want in our lives. And most of us are doing that, and we are doing it totally unconsciously. We don't know that we're doing it. We don't know how to do something different. And that's what I want to talk about today in this video. So I can say that I also am 100% guilty of what I'm going to talk about today. And that is the stories that we have in our head about ourselves, about our environment, about our family, about our life. And those stories 100% affect whatever experience we're having in our lives. For instance, if you're somebody who is just like, oh, all of my relationships fail. I never, I have a problem picking men or picking women. I never pick the right person. Or if you're somebody who is like, oh, I'm just not good in relationships, or somebody who's like, oh, I just can't save money, or I always get fired from my jobs. Like, these are all stories that we have about ourselves or about our experiences in the past or in the present or even upcoming in the future. We all have stories. And once you start to realize the stories that we tell ourselves and the stories that the people around us tell themselves, it's something that you can't unsee. And that's when you start tapping into realizing that when people talk about manifesting, oh, well, you can manifest your dream career, or you can manifest your dream relationship, or you can manifest your dream life. People talk a lot about that, but people don't talk about how you can manifest things that you don't want. And the way that people are doing that is by holding on to stories about themselves, about their life, about just in general their environment. And a lot of people are so unconscious to the stories that they hold on to about themselves that there's no way that they would actually even be able to undo this manifesting of things that they don't want in their lives, because they're so unaware that they even have the stories in the first place. And how do you become aware of what your stories are? If you're not aware of them, I can tell you what are the things, I can tell you the things to consider or to reflect on or to look at. Like, what are the things that whenever you say you meet a new potential partner, or say you make a new friend, or even if it's not a new person, but I would say that the easiest thing to do is if you're sitting down with somebody and you're out to eat or whatever you're doing, And like, what is the thing that you frequently like comes out of your mouth whenever you're talking to other people? Are you somebody who's always talking about your failed relationships? Are you always talking to people about how, oh, well, like I just don't really have like the money right now, or oh, I'm always like broke. Like, are you somebody who's always talking about the lack of like resources that you have? Are you somebody who maybe holds on to something from your past? Like, I know people that are in their mid 60s that they still talk about their upbringing in a negative way and how it affected them, and like how if they hadn't been brought up like that, their life would have been different. Like, these are all stories that we hold on to, and those stories manifest into what our experience is, which is why so many people feel like they're on some sort of a loop. They're like, I don't understand why I keep getting fired from my job. I don't understand why I keep picking men that cheat on me. I don't understand why I can't ever quite save enough money to buy a home. Like, people wonder, why does it feel like this one specific thing always happens to me? And the majority of times it's because it's a story that that's embedded in your mind. You've accepted it about yourself. You talk about it frequently. You use it as your excuse as to why you've never achieved blank. And every single time you think about it, every time you speak about it, you're manifesting it. You're calling that into your existence. And people talk a lot, like it's great that like we hear this language now, but people often like speak about people's energy or their frequency or their vibration. And the thing is, if you are wanting something in your life that's on a high frequency, a high vibration, if you're wanting like a really great relationship or a really amazing, healthy, like work-life balance, or like whatever it is that you're wanting, if it's high vibration, high frequency energetically, there's no way that you're going to be able to call that into your existence if the only thing that you're putting out is like low vibration, low energy, low frequency, by repeating these same stories in your head and to other people about your life. And so I wanted to make a video today because myself personally, and other people that I observe too, it's like we have these stories about our lives, about ourselves, about our families, about our relationships, our careers. Like, we have these stories. I never get blank. I always get blank. We have these stories, and we wonder why. Why do I keep getting the same thing over and over again? And it's because it's a story that you haven't quite let go of, and you're using that story to manifest more of that story. And your vibrations, your low frequency, your low like energetic level with whatever story it is that you don't want in your life anymore, the way that we're like replaying this over and over, we're just calling all that stuff back in. And, I'm sure a lot of you guys are like familiar with the different studies that they've done on plants, or that they've done on ice, or that they've done with sand. Like, there are studies that if you speak to plants like positively, you give them positive affirmations, you speak kindly to them, they will grow and flourish. And they've done this study with ice. You talk to ice really negatively, really harshly, speak negative words over it, it turns into very ugly, like crystal formations, or like maybe not ugly is the right word, but disorganized, like chaotic, like very not attractive ice crystals. Same thing with sand. Like, they've seen the studies with sand, like, and on the flip side, like same with like the ice, like you speak positive towards ice, like it literally forms crystals that are like beautiful and magnificent and all of that. So it's like, I bring all this up that the words that we're speaking out loud to other people about ourselves, or the words that we are speaking to ourselves, they're 1,000% energetic, vibrational energies that manifest into our lives, into our existence. We're seeing it with like physical things like plants, sand, ice. Like we're seeing it. And these are studies, like you can Google this. I'm not making this up. It's in many books, many, like you can see many studies online. Like it is a thing that manifestation is not some like woo-woo spiritual, like hippie weirdo thing that people are talking about. Like it's 100% real. And I'm just seeing more and more how myself and people that I've been around or am around, like we are calling in things that we don't want into our lives. And we're like making it impossible for us to let it go of certain loops that we're in with our lives because we just haven't let go of the story. Like I have a certain story about like my upbringing and about my relationship with my parents. Like I have that story. And it's like every time I'm speaking to somebody about, oh, well, I'm really trying to work through blank in my life, like that story comes up. And I'm like, okay, I need to let go of that story. How am I ever going to recreate a different relationship with my family if I have this story like in my head? It's something I haven't let go of. I speak about it often. And I see this with lots of other areas in my personal life. And I see it amongst people that I'm around too. Like we all have our stories. So something that I do to very much try to stay present is obviously I journal. Like I'm very self-reflective about like, okay, my interaction with blank person, what was I talking about? Like when I'm just like unconsciously speaking, what is it that I'm speaking on? These are things that I'm doing to just try to be aware, like being reflective. Journaling is something really big about like, what am I holding on to? And also like, I think the biggest thing, the main thing is like trying to stay present. Like this is something that people talk about all the time, like be in the present moment, live presently, whatever. And it's true. It's very important. Like, I can't keep talking about how, oh, I always have this certain blank problem in my business. I've had it for the past 10 years. Like, I can't keep talking about that or keep like emphasizing that or thinking about that or speaking on that because of course I'm going to see the loop like in the future, in the present. Like I need to just be so present and yes, honor my past and honor the different versions of myself and things that I've learned and how I've grown. Yes, it's important to like honor that about my past, but mostly staying present and being open and curious and like knowing that I can call in anything into my existence. It just depends on what I put out there and what I'm going to get back. So by staying very self-reflective, trying to stay present, and also just being aware of like how I'm speaking over myself, how I'm speaking to other people about myself or about my situations or whatever. Some of you guys may have noticed that like when I talk about my vision, I always say right now. I always say I'm struggling with my vision right now. There's a lot of people that you will see that are constantly saying, oh, well, I have blank disease. I have blank autoimmune issue. Like they are calling into their existence all day long that their body is sick and that they have something wrong with them. Or I've seen people do this with pretty much all diagnoses. People like grow attached to that story that that's them and they stay sick. Or a lot of times they end up like their life ends with whatever that thing is. And so I just wanted to make this video as I'm trying my best to like eliminate my own personal stories about my life and just be open to receiving different experiences and what I've experienced previously in my life. I wanted to make a video as I'm trying to claim like I'm letting go of my stories. I'm open to a new experience and I want to call that in. And so I wanted to share this with you guys because as I've mentioned, I know I'm not the only one. I see it in my everyday life with other people as they speak over themselves and things they speak on that you can tell it's a story of theirs. And I wanted to share it with you guys because I think it's a really important practice. If you're somebody who's trying to manifest something different into your life, the very first thing you need to do is let go of the story that you have of your life currently or your life in your past. Letting go of your stories, being open to receiving something new. I want to know in the comments, what stories have you let go of or are you trying to let go of in your life? What are you trying to manifest new into your life right now? Like, let's speak on it. Like, let's all hold each other accountable and say, hey, like, that's a story of yours and you need to let that shit go.